Hey everybody, Jane here, and I watched the movie Five Nights at Freddy's with my 12-year-old daughters. I want to talk about my experience as an adult who isn't super into the game, but who still got to see the show because of their children and what I thought about it.
Pictures and patterns put into words that stream across the page, capturing life as soft spoken.
Okay, so for people who are not familiar with the general story of the movie, we have Mike, who has been fired from his last job after attacking a man who he mistakenly believed was abducting a child. Mike has had a run of bad jobs that have ended with him getting fired, and he goes to an unemployment office and is like, I really desperately need a job because I'm trying to keep custody of my little sister. So he has a little sister. His mother has passed away. His father is not parenting, and Mike currently has custody of his sister. His aunt is trying to take custody of that sister, and the only thing that Mike can do to prevent that is to continue to provide for her and take care of her. And if he doesn't have a job, she will most certainly go to the aunt, who she is not well bonded to. His sister does seem to have an issue like maybe autism, some kind of neurodivergence, and to move in with his aunt would be a very bad situation. The man at the job search place, he says, listen, I do have a job. It's not a very good one. The pay is bad, the benefits are bad, and you have to work third shift. But it's a job and it'll help you at least, keep custody of your sister. So Mike takes it. That job is a nighttime security guard at Freddy Fazbear's. So if you've never had no context for this, Freddy Fazbear is kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese. If you did Chuck E. Cheese as a child. So it used to be like an arcade, and there's these animatronics that perform music numbers and stuff up on the stage. In this case, the Freddy Fazbear's has been abandoned for years, but the owner is still invested in its upkeep and care and wants to make sure nothing bad happens to it. I, as an adult who didn't really have much background for the movie, I've never played the game, I've seen it played a couple times. I have to say this was much better than I expected. Um, Rating it's kind of hard because I guess for a children's movie, considering all the things it did well, I would say it is probably a 4-star. Now, for my personal enjoyment as an adult who's not connected to this game, it was probably closer to a 3. I'm glad I saw it. I never need to see it again. But I do think it was much better quality than I was expecting. For one thing, horror movies tend to not have very much plot. And this actually had a cohesive plot. I was very impressed with that. Also, horror movies often, for me, don't have as much character development as I want. And this had a surprising amount of character development. I really enjoyed both the character development and the fact that there was a storyline that we could follow and enjoy from this movie. This movie does not have a lot of gore and guts and grossness, but it does have a fair amount of jump scares, which I think is totally appropriate for the intended audience, which are children. This is a PG-13 movie, and it did feel like a PG-13 movie, but the audience, the intended audience, does seem to be, preteens, children, maybe young teenagers. So I thought for the audience that this movie did a fine job. Let's get into some spoilers and we can go a little bit more in depth into what the movie's about and also kind of a couple things that I wish could have been better. So, we learn as the movie progresses that the man who Mike went to get a job, the man who is now a social worker of some kind, we presume, because he's handling like getting people jobs. He is actually, we find out, Michael Afton. And Michael Afton is the villain of this piece, although we don't learn that until the end. Michael Afton owns Freddy Fazbear's and has been using this to lure children. He murders children and he stuffs their bodies in the animatronics. So we learn as we see these animatronics coming to life and trying to add people to other animatronic bodies, we learn that it was because they are the ghosts of the children that Michael Afton has killed. I did think that the plot was a little bit shaky. Again, you are dealing with a movie for children, so maybe everything doesn't have to be perfectly like ducks in a row, dominoes in a row, and some coincidences are allowed. And we do kind of get the impression that the only reason Mike is given the job is because of who he is. So Michael Afton, we find out, had kidnapped and murdered Mike's little brother. And we are seeing a series of flashbacks that his brother was abducted and Mike never knew what happened to him. But we do find out that Michael Afton was the one who ultimately stole his brother and murdered him. We are not told if his brother was actually one of the kids in any of the animatronic suits or like what actually happened to his brother, although we do see his brother's ghost at Freddy Fazbear's. I did think that was a huge coincidence that Mike just happens to go to the same unemployment agency that Michael Afton works at, and Michael Afton is like, oh, look at that. Your last name is the same as this other kid I abducted. I should totally put you in charge of being my security guard. So I did think that was kind of a strange plot choice. There's just a lot of coincidences in this movie, which again, for teenage viewers is probably fine. As an adult, there were times that I was like, okay, coincidence city. So we also have Michael Afton's daughter, who is a police officer who, when Mike first starts staying the night at Freddy Fazbear's as a security guard, we have his daughter showing up and trying to kind of help Mike figure out what's happening and kind of warn him off. And I did think that was kind of a strange coincidence too, because at the beginning of this movie, we have the previous security guard being taken down by the animatronics. Whether she was assisting the previous security guard and trying to keep him safe as well. We also don't really get any information about why that security guard was chosen, and then also this Mike, who is obviously connected to Freddy Fazbear's. So there were definitely some leaps in logic that, as an adult viewer, I thought were kind of strange. For a children's show, though, it kids will just go with it, and it makes enough sense that I thought it was fine. We do get a little bit of Mike's sister. Mike, at one point, has a babysitter who is no longer showing up. We, as the viewers, know that the babysitter has been hired by the aunt to try to sabotage Mike's new job, and the babysitter and her brothers have been killed at Freddy Fazbear's. So Mike is stuck taking his little sister while he is on his shift at work, and the animatronic children decide that they would like to add her to their assortment of animatronics. So we do have a little bit of her and her being in peril. The night that Mike attacks the animatronics or kind of deals with them, his aunt has come to babysit his sister because he doesn't have a babysitter, and he's concerned for his sister's safety after watching the animatronics not behave the way they should. And the aunt is killed while on duty to take care of his little sister. This is never dealt with, never mentioned again. It's just, oh, how inconvenient. The police never look into it or anything like that. She's just that's just a loose end we're just left with. So at the end of the movie, the way that the animatronics are defeated is Mike has these cattle prods that use electricity to zap things. And so he uses them to kind of short circuit the animatronics. But then he also has his sister draw a picture to show the ghosts that they were murdered children instead of friends with the Michael Afton critter. I think it was a bunny. It's a yellow bunny, I think. So then ultimately the animatronics turn against Michael Afton and he is trapped in his own animatronic machine and becomes like the other animatronics, I assume. I do believe there's going to be some more movies. I hope that they continue to have plot and characters and reasons, although obviously it would be nice if they were a little bit more believable, plausible, but this is the horror genre. And at this point, I will take good character development and I will take a reasonably believable plotline. So, yes, have you seen Five Nights at Freddy's as an adult? If you're an adult, what did you think about it? Did you watch it because you have children? Did you watch it because you're a fan of the games? What was your overall assessment of this video? I thought it was much better than I was expecting it to be, and I'm happy that I watched it, although I probably will not go out of my way to view this again unless like the children want to do a popcorn night and this is the movie that they decide. All right, guys, it's been Jane. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.